Hi. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You are listening to episode number 179. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction hypnotist and #1 bestselling author of Practical Law of Attraction, Align Yourself with the Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. And I'm also the founder of HipTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download that app from the app stores today. And today I have a very special guest with me, Melisa Caprio. Melisa Caprio is an author, photographer, radio host, and creator of Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation. And she is inviting people from around the world to participate in this movement by using photography, art, personal wishes, and desires, and sending them out to the universe via a postcard. Her inspiration comes from a desire to have a forum where people come together in creative ways for global change. She is currently giving workshops on photography, art, transformation, and manifestation. She guides her clients on how to create a unique postcard for added effect on the power of creative intention. And Caprio has her own weekly show titled Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, Creating the Life You Crave on OMTimes Radio, where she interviews spiritual trailblazers, and she has turned that show into a popular podcast. She's also a regular blog contributor on Thrive Global, and she can be found on postcardstotheuniverse.com. And I'm also going to have lots of other links to different ways that you can reach out to her on our show notes. And so today we are going to be talking about her book, Postcards to the Universe. We're going to be diving into how you can be a co-creator with the universe and manifest what you want. And so welcome to the show, Melisa.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this. And I love the title of your book too. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a mutual respect and a mutual feeling here because I love the title of your book.
Thank you.
It brings to mind just the power of writing, but then you're taking it one step further and like literally having them like, do they literally send a card to the universe?
Yeah. So what I have them so before the pandemic and COVID, I was having a lot of workshops, where people would come and we would meet in person, and hopefully that will get back soon. But what I'm having people do is create a manifesting postcard, and it's sort of like I'm sure everybody, probably a lot of people who listen to your show on a regular basis probably know what vision boards are and creating a vision board. So it's kind of like a mini vision board. And I, instead of keeping it, I tell people, try to make one postcard around one area that you want to manifest. You can send as many as you want. I have some clients who send me ones for everything that they want, from traveling to a new car to a new house. It's so great. And then I photograph the postcard. I take it, and I've been having so much fun with my creativity because my background is a visual artist. I'm a photographer. That's my background. And I sort of like help push the manifestation forward, right? And when their manifestation becomes their reality, I share their story with their permission, of course. And so that's what the book is based about. There's 30 postcards in the book. They're all my photos, along with the manifesting stories of how they manifested what they put in the postcard.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay, so you take a picture of...
I can show you. I can show if you want to see from the book.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And for those of you who are listening.
So for example, here is a postcard that I photographed, the one in the center. And then this is her story right here. about what she wrote in this postcard. So that's just one example. And then of course I have mine also. Here's another one. I went to a train station and photographed the postcard on the train.
Oh,
And
neat.
it's her story. Yeah. So I try to get really creative with the postcards, and people get so excited when I love it, because I'll get like a message and they'll say, "You'll never believe what happened." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, I will." And, and it's like people get so excited. They can't believe that what they created came to, their physical reality. Yeah.
I love it. So do they write their story and then you go take the photograph of what they wrote about, or how does what
Not necessarily. It's kind of gone both ways, because so I had some it that way, like they sent it out and let me know that that it all came true. And so then I'll specifically take their postcard and photograph it. And then the postcards speak to me right away, and I have to create something with it. So it kind of happens both ways. Yeah, which is really, really cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
And during the pandemic, I since I wasn't going out as much, I got really creative about how setting up in my studio to photograph them with things that I have collected over the years, like art. As an artist, I love collecting all these cool things, so that I love to put in my photos. So that's one of the things about the pandemic that sort of worked in my personal favor as an artist. I want to clarify that, because it's been very hard for a lot of people, and I don't want to trivialize that, but as an artist, it was like, it made me tap into my creativity in a different way, because I had to, because I couldn't go out and do what I was doing before. So yeah, so it was like, it opened me up more as an artist. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, tell us your story. How did you get started with these postcards from the universe?
So how it started was, I was photographing down in the Florida Keys. I'm in Florida, and I worked for a company called Dolphin Human Therapy, and I was photographing dolphin assisted therapy with special needs children getting therapy. So I did that for like 7 years, and I was married at the time. And everything sort of shifted at once. There was like a big shift. The person I was working for was leaving the area. I was leaving that facility. The marriage wasn't working out. I was going through a separation and divorce. And so, like, sort of very quickly, really literally within 30 days, I left the job, my home, and the relationship all ended. So as you can imagine, it was super stressful and very upsetting. And I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do now? Am I going to do commercial photography? And I like doing some commercial photography, but that's not really where my heart sort of was at. You can make a great living at it, but it wasn't like hitting my soul. And I always kind of had a thing about people's handwriting and handwritten letters and love letters. And it's sort of like a lost art. So I would always photograph those kind of as my own little side thing. And I was trying to, I was asking the questions like, why did all this happen to me? Why? I'm a good person. I've done everything right. Like, I'm heartbroken. The job I loved is gone. The relationship, like, and I kind of stumbled into the law of attraction, and I took a course in it. And once all that kind of clicked, and about how certain things I attracted, and now I understand why, and all that stuff. One night, I've told this story on my show and on other shows. I was falling asleep, and I heard Postcards to the Universe at like 1:00 in the morning. I heard it in my head, and I got up and I went on GoDaddy, and it was available. So I bought the domain name. I knew it was important, but I didn't know why it was important. And it sat there for like a year after I bought it. I didn't know what to do with it. And then I met somebody who sort of helped me formulate an idea, and we created a website. This was my older website. Now I have a new website that I did myself, but it helped me formulate exactly what the intention of the project was. And I kept meeting people. Once that clicked, I kept meeting people, boom, 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 in line, that helped me get to the next step, which eventually led me to having a radio show, to where I am now. There's years in there. It didn't happen overnight, of course. There's a lot of years in between, but basically, in a nutshell, that's how it happened.
That is amazing. So
Yeah.
one thing just really led into the other. I mean, you went
Yeah.
through this horrible change
hmm
where everything seemingly turned upside down, and
Yeah.
you just opened and you said, well, what now? And that's such
hmm
a great question. What am I going to do now? And because, you can't ask that question without having that question get answered in some way. And then
hmm
you get this message from your intuition, from
Yeah.
wherever, from infinite intelligence, postcards
That's,
from the universe, and
yeah.
everything starts falling into place. I love it. I
Yeah,
love
thank
it.
you. Yeah, I mean, I remember, I mean, you know that, I'm sure everybody who listens probably knows, when you're half asleep, but you're still not fully asleep and you're kind of going into that state. I mean, I heard it like so loud, postcards to the universe. And I went, and I sat up and I was like, what? Like, what? And something told me, you know, go on, just look at, just get it. It's important, get it. And I didn't know why at that time. And like I said, now here I am years later, and I'm a published author, and I'm working on my second book, which is, I'm about 85% finished with. So
Ooh, well,
yeah, so all of that. And
congratulations.
if you would have asked me when I was still living there, doing the photography with the dolphins and that whole thing, I would have said, I don't even know, what are you talking about? You know?
It's amazing how our life can just take
Yeah.
these crazy twists and turns. If you would have asked me a few years ago before my book, I would have told you were crazy. I'm not writing a book. I
Mhm.
don't have time to write a book and all of that.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about manifesting for those who might be new to the show or might be new to you,
Mhm.
or still just haven't been able to wrap their heads around, what is this thing called manifesting? How does a person manifest what it is that they desire? What does that look like?
Okay. So basically, which I learned, we're constantly manifesting all the time, right? The universe is neutral. And that's a hard one to take, especially when bad things happen. It's neutral. So wherever we put our attention grows, right? So most of the time, for most of us, including myself, I don't do this anymore. I'm really quick to catch myself because I'm super conscious of it now. Is we're worried about the what ifs. What if this happens, or the things that we don't like, right? That's where we spend most of our attention, and we're always focused on that energy. So we're tapping into that energy of the things we don't want, not realizing by doing that, we're creating more of those things that we don't want to come into our life, because the universe isn't saying whether it's good or bad. It's just saying, oh, that's where your attention is. That's where your vibration is. Then I'm going to bring you more of that. So when I really got that message, I figured out, and it takes a lot of work. I did a lot of inner work. I had to do some deep inner work. I worked with law of attraction coaches. I worked with, other coaches, therapy, whichever way it works for you. There's a lot of cleaning out you have to do, right, inside to get to that point, to raise your own vibration. So I realized that I could consciously co-create the things that I wanted, and where are my strengths? What are the things how does that work for me? So for me, it's through my creativity. Creativity is where I am the most joy, the most excited. My vibration, you can feel it. Anybody who's listening, when you're doing something that you love, you feel good, right? You feel good doing it. So when I'm creating, when I'm photographing, or when I'm making these postcards or teaching all these classes or workshops or whatever, I feel so good inside. So it's raising up my vibration. And I started to notice when I would do that, things would be coming quicker to me, or there would be quote unquote synchronicities, but I don't necessarily believe there's synchronicities, like, oh my God, I was just thinking about this, and boom, that showed up, that book showed up, that person showed up. And that's kind of how it works. And one of the best ways I have found, and I think, and this is my personal opinion, to manifesting abundance in whatever area you want, is gratitude. Tapping into gratitude, I think, is one of the most powerful tools for manifesting, because when we're grateful for what we already have, that's already in our environment, we get more of that comes to us.
It's so true. Gratitude is so, so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And, how can a person find out? I mean, how can a person, like, if they just don't feel like they have a lot to be grateful for. So how can a person get on the path to start raising their
Mm-hmm.
vibration through the power of gratitude?
Right. I know exactly how they feel. I was there. So exactly. It could be something as simple as and I would start there. I would start with the small stuff. If when I started this work, I don't think Netflix was out. Really, truthfully, it's been a while now, but let's say you have a series that you love and you love binge watching, right? Instead of beating yourself up for sitting on the couch watching 5 hours of television, say, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I have this show that is making me feel this way. It could be something like that. And then you start doing, I'm grateful that I have Taco Tuesday nights with my friends, if that's something that you have. I'm grateful that, I can walk to the grocery store to get myself my favorite juice or my favorite smoothie or whatever it is that you do. And you start just really, really small at first. And anytime you catch yourself, I always do this. Anytime I catch myself going down that negative rabbit hole, sometimes if something really terrible is going on, you have to allow yourself to feel it. I don't want to invalidate people who are grieving, especially right now. If you are, you need to be there. You need to go through that. That's something. But I'm talking about the monkey chatter in our brains, the worry, that we're always doing on a daily basis. Like I tell myself, I'll just say, Melissa, stop. Like, stop. And if a negative thought comes up, I'll be like, cancel, delete, just like delete it. And then the more I do that, the more I catch myself doing it. It's now become a lot easier. And in my book, which I'll hold up the front of the book. In my book.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Thank you.
Yes,
love
that's
my photo on the cover. So
there's a key and a magnifying glass. Tell us about tell us about the symbology of the key and the magnifying glass there.
Right. So what is magnifying glasses? Magnify whatever you put it over, right? So it magnifies whatever you're looking at. So it's just to tell you, to remind you, be careful where you're magnifying your thoughts. So you want to magnify your thoughts where you want them to be, right? So if, let's say it's a brand new red car you want, you don't want to think, oh, I can't get that red car. You want to be looking at red cars everywhere, like trick your brain, like how many red cars can I see in a day, kind of thing. So you magnify what you want. And then of course the key is opening the doors. We have to open our own doors, right? We can't always wait for things to come to us. The universe does bring you everything you want if you know how to co-create with it, and you have to take inspired action. Right? It's inspired action.
Absolutely.
And you also have to, and this is another big, big point, you have to believe you deserve it.
Now, how can
and
a
that's
person
why
believe...
a lot of people don't get what they think they want, because they don't really feel they deserve it.
How can a person, so let's say a person wants to manifest $1 million. How can a person feel that they deserve that $1 million?
Slowly, but they'll get there. So you may have a bank account that has like $20 in it, right? So there's no way you can imagine $1 million in the bank account, but I bet you can imagine $100. Where would you, like psychologically, like in the book, I have it broken down into 4 groups, and one is about money. So I have some money games that people can play to kind of like trick their brain into manifesting more money.
Those are in the book, the manifesting games?
Each chapter. So there's relationships, money, career, and health. So at the end of each chapter are writing exercises and and techniques to manifest. So that's how I end each chapter. So as far as money goes, you play with spend every day. If you want to get to the $1 million, think about how you would spend $100 a day in your imagination. You can come up with 1 million ways that you can spend it. All fun stuff, not paying, your medical bills. right? Like you want to like try to make it a fun exercise, right? So you increase the amount. You keep increasing the amount and check in with yourself and say, how does that feel? Like, can I see $500 in my bank account? No? Okay, well, let me keep working this until I can see the 500 in my bank account and feel it and feel what it's like to have that if you needed that 500. And then you keep upping it. You go 1,000 and then try 5,000, 10, and then 100. And if you can keep going up and you can envision yourself actually seeing $1 million in your bank account, then that's how you do it. It's hard to go from zero to a million. You kind of have to like take the little steps.
You do. I love that. That makes so much sense. And so thank you for explaining that. I was doing a little manifesting myself a couple weeks back, and I had this idea of saying an affirmation in that same line of thinking, where it was the affirmation was on a small, and then kind of getting, and saying it as many times as it took for me to own it, to really, really be, like, oh yeah, I really believe that. And then stepping it up. And so, yeah, it's like taking these little micro steps until you can get yourself to, like they say in Think and Grow Rich, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. So I love that. So
I love affirmations. In fact, much the next
you talk in your book about changing your life. You have to change something about your life in order to manifest, and manifesting is going to change your life. So what if a person is afraid of changing?
Yeah, right. That is one of the biggest things, that we are afraid of change, even though we may want it. It's sort of, there's an old saying, I don't know, maybe you've heard it, like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. I don't like to say devil, but it kind of what it implies is sometimes even if you're suffering, you'll stay in the suffering because you're comfortable there, where the not knowing, even though it could be so much better, you don't know. So you're so uncomfortable, and so you're so afraid. So I always say, I mean, this is just something that I say to myself. I get scared a lot, and I'll say, just do it anyway. I'm scared. So what? Do it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? You fall on your face, you fail. So what? You do it again. And when I start talking to myself like that, I kind of talk the fear down, and I imagine how I would talk to, I don't have kids of my own, but I'm super close with my sister's kids, and especially my niece. We're really close. So I always imagine how I would talk to her and what I would say to her. I wouldn't say, don't do it because you're scared. I would say, of course you're scared, but look at it, how exciting it can be. But just do it anyway. All you have to do today is take one step toward it. You don't have to do the whole thing. You just do one tiny step. It's like building step by step. It's the same thing with imagining the money in your account being $1 million. You start at $100 and you work your way up. So if there's something that you really want and there's action steps you would need to take, you don't have to do all of them. You just, what's the next action step that you can take toward it? That's what I would do.
I love the analogy of bringing yourself back into like your childlike state, and talking to yourself as if you were a child, because so many of the things that the way we talk to ourselves, we would never speak to a child that way. Never. And so it's really important to remember that there is a child inside of us, and, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to get a lot further with that child if you actually speak and acknowledge the things that are going on with that child. And so, yeah, acknowledging, of course you're scared, and you can take just one, tiny little baby step forward toward that.
Yeah. And if it's good, I mean, it's hard to imagine ourselves as child, but if you have a child that you love in your life and picture their little face, can you imagine saying to their little face, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You should be scared. And you would see the heartbreak on their face. You know what I mean? Because kids so need that validation from us adults. So when I think of And I use her specifically as an example. I picture her beautiful little face and all the things that she wants to do. And I just transfer it on to myself. So I talk to myself when those fears come up, like I talk to her. And I noticed that really, really worked for me. It really did. Works for me.
That's great. That's great. So what would you say are the two biggest components to shifting your energy?
Okay, so I already touched on the one, gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I would say gratitude is one of the biggest. So, maybe a lot of people are really going through a hard time right now, the way the world has shifted so much in the last 18 months. All the negativity out there. First, I would stop watching the news. Whatever you need to know, you're going to know. If it's important, it will find its way to you. Don't worry about it. So if you follow whatever news station, doesn't matter, stop all of them. Stop reading the horrific stories. They're trying to grab you with headlines that will shift your energy so much. And start focusing on your environment, about the things you already have that you're grateful for. And truthfully, gratitude lists are great. I mean, I teach a 30-day manifesting gratitude. I have a PDF that you can purchase on my website for people to download, and it's to have a visual gratitude journal. I teach people how to do it using their iPhone or their Android phone, because we have a camera. So we start taking pictures every day of what we're grateful for, and we compile this whole list of things. So by the end of the 30 days, you have an online, journal of all these beautiful images of things that you're grateful for, right? And how much that shifts you. That just because you start focusing on those things. And I noticed when I started really getting into the gratitude, I started to look for things to be grateful for. Instead of looking for the problems, something in my brain clicked, and I started to look for all the things I'm grateful for. Maybe as simple as, summer season, all the fruit that's in my refrigerator that I love, like the mangoes that only come out in the summertime, just anything just to be grateful for. So that is one. And then the other is believing that you deserve it. And like I said, I highly recommend, if you have, most of us at some point in our lives have the I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, kind of feeling. So work with somebody if you need to get beyond that, because if you can do that, that's going to shift so much. And one of the biggest influences personally in my life was doing mirror work, affirmations that I learned from Louise Hay, from following Louise Hay. And I did it probably for a few months. Every morning I would get in front of the mirror, no makeup, hair up, not prettied up, and say affirmations. And it was really, really, really hard in the beginning to not criticize, to not start looking for all the flaws and, oh, look at your hair and look at this wrinkle. But I've gotten really good at not criticizing myself in the mirror. And that shifted. That really, really shifted my energy and everything. And Louise Hay talks strongly about it. In my second book, I include an exercise of mirror work every single day, because I think it's really important.
Beautiful. Mirror work is, it's beautiful. I highly recommend it to anyone. And the gratitude, I loved what you said about the visual gratitude journal. So tell me just a little bit about that. So a person, where do they keep this visual gratitude journal? Do they upload their pictures, or they're just keeping them on their phone?
Well,
I mean, I
them,
love the concept of this.
Yeah, so what they're doing, so the way I have it laid out is they're just keeping it on their phone, and you can create anything you want with it. With all the apps out there now, you can post them every day on your social media. You can print them out. Like, I like to print them out and have an actual journal, because like I said, I'm an artist, so that still really appeals to me. And I write underneath the image of the things that I'm grateful for. So I like to do it that way. People can make collages. They can use them for their postcards. They can put them They can separate them. There's a lot of apps that have photo apps that are private, so nobody else can see if they look at your phone, your photos or whatever. And you can put notes. You can include them in notes on. I have an iPhone. I'm sure Android has the same, but you can include a picture on notes, and you can write your gratitude in notes. So you can start your 30 days. So anything that just feels that works for your life and you, I would recommend doing, because the point is, it's not how you do it, it's that you do it, and that you start to look for things to take photos of. And we break it down for the week. So 1 week it may be on health, and we're looking for all these areas in our life where we feel gratitude for our health. And another week it'll be relationships. How do relationships show up for you? And it doesn't mean romantic. It just means any kind of relationship. So I kind of have it like focused down like that. I give people daily steps and weekly things to sort of goals to focus on to make it easier.
I really like that. And
Thank you.
honestly, if you think about it, and this just made me, I don't know. I mean, unless, you're just taking a picture of something just informational, like a screenshot or whatever. If you really think about it, anytime you go to take I just kind of made this up, but like, if you really think about it, almost anytime you go to take your camera out, your phone out to take a picture of something, in a way, you must be somewhat grateful for that experience already, because you're taking a picture of it. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of pictures of my, things around my house and just good times that I've had, vacations, my cat, whatever it is,
exactly.
Usually it's something that I'm feeling grateful for. So maybe just taking that extra step, just to think about, well, what, how does this, just pause for a moment. It's like, how does this make me feel? And give thanks for that thing that you're taking a picture of. So I love that.
Yeah. It's true. And it's even really good for us to do it, selfies, but not selfies through the apps, not Snapchat selfies, not the ones that slide off all the wrinkles on your face,
right?
Not the ones that make you look beautiful. And these aren't to share. These are for you to start being grateful for your body and how it supports you. Because we're not, especially as women, what we do is we focus on our flaws. We don't focus on how our body supports us.
True.
A lot of times it's what we don't love about our bodies that we focus on.
Cellulite on the thighs.
The extra roll right?
Instead, these thighs walked 17,000 steps today and yesterday and the day before. And it's amazing that I can do that.
So doing that kind of work, it really, it goes deeper than you think it goes, right? It really kind of does. I don't know if it's the 21 days or the 30 days or something about the days, doing it consistently. There's something that just shifts. And people usually,
you're feeding
do it, they'll see it.
You're feeding your brain that positive vibration and focusing on what you do like and all. So I love it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How does a person go about making one of these powerful, magical, manifesting postcards?
Thanks for asking. Super easy. So I lay it out on my website. There's a how to make one on postcardstotheuniverse.com. You'll see it. And I take you step through step, and I give you the address to send them. So, but basically, in a nutshell, I recommend setting aside time and space for yourself and making it sacred. I'm all about rituals. I love that stuff. Like I sage, I like candles, I do all that stuff. Burn oils, when I want to create. Turn your phone off. Tell your family, maybe do it when they're not home. Leave me alone for an hour. And maybe write down, like, what is it that I want, right? What is it that I want? Write it down. and really kind of get an idea of seeing it on paper, and then start to look for, if you're an artist and you like to draw, you can draw it or yourself if you want. I have some artists that like to create, and they collage and they put stuff together, and they'll paint. I've even had painters. I had a painter send me a wood board that he painted on that was beautiful, of what he wanted to manifest. So there's so many ways you can do it, or you can go old school magazines. Remember, that's what I do at the workshops. I have magazines because it's easier than trying to print, have people print out the images they want. But at your own home, you can go on Pinterest, is great. Google Images, print out images that remind you of what it is you want to manifest. So for example, let's say I was just talking to a woman actually the other day who's getting married, and she's talking about her honeymoon and where she wants to go. So I said to her, and she's like, oh, well, I'd really like to go here, but I don't know. So I recommended, well, go and print out pictures of what that looks like. If it's Hawaii, print out pictures of the Hawaii, print out pictures of couples holding hands, print all this stuff out, make a postcard around it, like put it out there. So the universe has sort of a visual. It's for us in the universe, and just be open to whatever it is being better than what you imagined, and then they can send it to me. I say, take a picture of it on your phone, keep it on your phone, print it out, put it in your fridge, put it in your bathroom, or just have it as your screensaver. So psychologically, it sort of seeps into your subconscious, and you'll start to look for things that will help you get there. You don't even realize you're doing it, right? You know this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now I have a picture on my iPad wallpaper with an affirmation on it. And, just every time I open up my iPad, which is multiple times a day, I see this.
Right.
And it's just a great reminder to remember to focus on that. And not only that, but the subconscious mind is also figuring out how it will solve that problem, because it knows that, that is something that's out there that, and so it has to figure it out.
Yeah, it has to figure. The universe wants to give you what you want. It just doesn't look at. Our problem is we usually are focusing on what we don't want, so it's giving us more of that. So we're like, wait a second, how does the universe want to give me, that's terrible, right? I'm getting all these negative things. You're like, no, it's neutral. There's no good or bad. And it's hard to grasp when terrible things happen. But as far as the universal energy, there's no good or bad. It's just positives and negatives, right? And what we attract, and what we attract where we vibrate. So if we're vibrating low and our energy is low, we attract more of those energies towards us. And if we are vibrating high, we attract more of those things towards us. Like that's physics, amazing. I guess, right? Physics, isn't that physics basically? I think. I don't know.
I think it's even common sense. I really break it down into, it's very practical. I mean, you're going to be drawn to whatever it is that you focus on. And so, the more you focus on things that you want, the more you're going to be drawn to situations and circumstances. So it's, and to me, it's very logical.
Right. And we're doing it all the time, and things maybe not necessarily come around, because I talk about this in the book, and I've talked about this on my radio show. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Like that, and I had this thing. I used to watch all these Jacques Cousteau movies, and especially wanted to work with the dolphins, and that's what I wanted to be. And I was so focused on it. I mean, I had such a strong desire. I sent out such a strong desire. Life takes over. We move. I had a really not a great teacher, and when I took marine biology, and he sort of turned me off, misogynistic, whatever. And then I fell in love with photography, like that just fell in my lap. So I kind of let marine biology go. But who would have known later, as a photography, I was doing documentary. I have a sister who's special needs, and I was photographing her and her life and documentary style photography. And I just happened to be watching television one day about this guy in the Keys that was working with dolphins and handicapped kids. And I was like, oh, this would be great to expand my project. I want to expand the project. I contacted them. I wrote a letter of all things. This was before, this is before, right?
Before the letters to the universe.
I actually wrote him a letter. Isn't that crazy? I just thought about that. And asked if I could observe and maybe photograph. And he said, yeah, please come on. He wrote me back, come on. And if the family say it's okay, it's okay. And I said, great. So I went a couple of times. It's only 80 miles from my house. I went a couple of times, and the third time he invited me to lunch and he offered me a job as a staff photographer. So I got to work with dolphins, but I didn't work with them as a marine biologist. I worked with them as a photographer. See, because my desire, it was so strong when I was a kid. Like that's why kids are master manifestors, I think.
They absolutely are.
They don't realize that it's not possible, right?
They absolutely are. And
so the universe will always bring you what you want.
Yeah.
Let's do it consciously. Let's do it consciously.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I think it's so important and imperative for people to become more childlike when they go into their manifesting and to have fun, because, that is going to help really, bring you back to that state when you were clear and you do have those burning desires, and that's more natural. That's our more natural state.
Exactly. And that's why I think that tapping into the creativity is so powerful for manifesting, because that's what we did when we were kids. When we created art, we colored. You don't have to be an artist to create any of these. And a lot of people at first, I would notice they would be like, oh, what do I have to do? Oh, kind of thing. And then once they got into it and they were finding all these things and they started to allow themselves to dream, and they were like, oh, this picture is great. This describes exactly what I'm feeling. Their energy raised up and they got into the fun of it. So that's what they're sending out. This is what they're sending out to the universe. That energy. Right.
Well, I love it. I love the way that you've taken manifesting, which should be fun, and brought the fun back to it, and to help because it should be fun. And so you're giving away that 30-day manifesting through gratitude 30-day visual journey PDF to anyone who signs up for your newsletter and lets you know that they heard about the giveaway from the Power of Your Mind podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because right now I think we could all use it, truthfully. We want to raise the vibration of the planet. It's good for all of us. So the more people that can, feel good about their own lives, that's how we do it. It's an inside job,
It absolutely is. So they go to postcardsfromtheuniverse.com, and then can they just
postcards to the universe.com.
Oh, yes. They're not coming from the universe.
That's important. That's okay. I have my friend who always says postcards from the edge. I'm like, that's that movie that Carrie Fisher wrote. Postcards to the universe.
Okay, you don't get one back. You get something even better. You get your manifestation. All right.
So there's a link to sign up. All they have to do is sign up, fill their name out, and just in the little message wrote that they heard about the giveaway from your podcast. And I'll send them a PDF. I'll email them a PDF.
That's wonderful. That is very generous of you. And I know that is going to be something that people are going to really, really enjoy. As a matter of fact, I probably want to go there myself and download a copy, because that just sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
You've been an amazing guest. This is so fun. Thanks. I really love talking about this stuff. I love talking about manifesting and law of attraction and just creating the life that you desire. And so thanks for cheering up our audience today with the possibility that you can create your dreams, you can manifest, you can be childlike, you can have fun with it, you can use your pictures on your phone and be grateful. And you just really brought a lot of inspiration to our audience today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. I love talking about it too. Yeah, and I have to have you come on my radio show.
I'd love to.
Yeah, on OMTimes on Wednesdays at 4 for you guys who want to hear more about me. Just come over there.
Awesome. Yes, definitely come on over to OMTimes and listen to more Melisa Caprio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.